YouTube vinyl community, Bruce Johnston fans, random people on the internet, my name is Giggens. And we are here today to talk about Bruce Johnston's solo album, Going Public, released on Columbia Records in 1977. This is in fact a promo copy from Columbia Records themselves. Think about that. So Bruce Johnston, as you know, is a member of the Beach Boys, and a really important member of that group. He's extremely talented. He's an exceptional songwriter. He's a great vocalist, and he sounds like he's an overall funny dude to hang out with. All of which is not really on this album. This album for me has always been very much a test. I really like his voice. I like his songs a lot. I think Disney Girls is one of the best songs on Surf's Up. I think Deirdre is great. Tears in the Morning, you got Nearest Faraway Place. There's a lot of great tracks that Bruce did. And this album is definitely a bit of a challenge. Some people love it. Some people think it's completely forgettable. Some people think it's worse than Looking Back with Love. There's a lot of people that are mixed on this thing, and there's rumors out there that even Bruce Johnston himself has said, why would anyone listen to this? I can't find that claim anywhere. I'd be really curious to know if that's actually something he said. But regardless, in my quest to document literally every single thing the Beach Boys have ever done, this is part of my list. So this thing came out in May of '77. I couldn't tell you what the exact date was because I can't find it anywhere. But flashback to '72, another summer in the neighborhood, hanging out with nothing to do. So Bruce leaves the Beach Boys, or was fired. The world may never know. And in that time, he went on to start doing his own thing again. He got back in touch with Terry Melcher. They started doing a recording project. They were going to start their own studio that Brian wanted to be a part of before he was coaxed back into the Beach Boys. And he also wrote this song called I Write the Songs, which ended up being a humongous hit for Barry Manilow and won him a Grammy Award. Pretty cool. That song was also done by a ton of other people, and at this point there's like a worldwide sales figure of 25 million copies of that song having being sold over the course of other people doing it over the years. So, insanely impressive stats right there from Mr. Johnston. It's an interesting album. I mean, the album itself, I don't think charted anywhere, but Pipeline, the last song on the thing, was number 17 on the dance club charts. It peaked there in August of '77, August 6th of 1977. But it was on the charts for 14 weeks, which blows my mind. Like, that's seriously impressive stuff. Yeah, I think California Music was the thing he was starting with Terry Melcher, again, that company there. Anyway, yeah, Pipeline was on there for 14 weeks. Yeah, this album is definitely interesting. It was produced by Gary Usher, and some people think Gary Usher was barely involved with it, but we're just going to begin talking about this thing. So, the lead-off single here, trying to get the lighting right. Come on, light. There we go. The lead-off single here, or track on this album, I Write the Songs, is his big, famous Grammy-winning track. He did it by himself here. And this version really isn't too bad, to be totally honest with you. It's just him and a piano, and I kind of like that atmosphere. It sounds kind of lonely. And it's a very interesting take on that. Bruce's voice has always been very smooth and very interesting to listen to. There's a certain timbre to his voice that is really effective, and I think has always made the Beach Boys in the late '60s and on added another dynamic to the sound that I think blended so well with them. Like when you hear his parts in California Girls or God Only Knows or whatever, his moments are very mubut hearing him on this track by himself is really interesting. I mean, it picks up a little bit more in the middle. It's really a slow track. But I mean, even Bruce said he could have given this to the Beach Boys and it could have been a hit, but it would have been a career killer. It would have been one of those things like, oh, the Beach Boys are doing a song like this, that's the end. So it's almost great that they didn't do it, but it works really well as a stripped down ballad. I think it's an interesting take on the track, and easily one of the most interesting songs on this album for sure. Just in terms of its presentation and the way he sings it and the way it's produced. I recommend hearing that. If you hear anything on this album, this one track in particular is definitely worth listening to. Deirdre is the second song on here, and there's drums and bass, which all of a sudden sound like a cannon going off because you're so used to just the piano there. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a full band going on, but the drums on this song in particular sound like they're being channeled through some sort of phaser. They sound really weird, like distantly spacey, which is kind of bizarre. It's an up-tempo reworking of the Beach Boys song that he wrote with Brian on the Sunflower album. It's fun, but it just kind of sounds uninspired. It doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of fire behind it. It just kind of exists. It's kind of fun, but not really too deep. There's not really any magic there. Meanwhile, the version on Sunflower, I think, is absolutely gorgeous and full of soul and emotion and depth and, a lot of heart. This one, not so much. Not so much, Al. It just sounds kind of like it's going through the motions. It sounds incredibly empty at points. It's very bizarre. It's kind of a weird thing. And that's sort of the rest of the album for me. That it's got this emptiness that kind of pervades it. The next track, Thank You Baby. This sounds like a Hallmark card that took too much Ambien and is now being completely fine being tossed around the card holder at Walmart. Like, it just sounds like... It's not my favorite. Bruce is so talented, and then to hear something like this where there's just no soul, and you guys may completely disagree. You may think this is one of the best songs he's ever done, and if so, please tell me that, because I'd like to hear your interpretation of these songs. Having been a Beach Boys fan since about 1991, I think I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Rendezvous, not bad. There's some interesting guitar fills on this one. I think the sax is kind of cool on this one, the saxophone on here, but it sounds like it's being performed by a bunch of people who were told to keep the noise down because the neighbors downstairs were going to wake up. But it was like 4 in the afternoon. Like, the whole thing just sounds like it didn't want to try too hard to rock. Like, it sounds like people who remembered what rock and roll was and then kind of didn't want to do it, but kind of gave it a go anyway. Maybe. And then you get to the song on this album that so many people are up in arms about or have always had a problem with, and that's Won't Somebody Dance With Me. He took a song that I think already existed and kind of changed it around to be like a dad watching his daughter get ready for a dance and hoping that she would get a date so she wasn't going to be on her own. I mean, it's cheesier than like if a box of Cheez-Its got together with a block of cheese in Wisconsin and then like had a baby, and that baby was also an even more dense version of cheese. It's a cheesy song. All the syrup trees in Vermont don't have enough sugary syrup for what this song is. It makes MIU sound like Pet Sounds at times. Like, it's a fascinating song in the sense that, like, I can't believe it exists. And I might be a little cruel in ripping this song apart, but it's a very bizarre song in the sense that it's awkward and it's, for me, a little uncomfortable to listen to. Like, the whole like call and response thing for me just doesn't do it. And again, I'm nobody. I'm just a guy on the internet talking about music and whether or not I like a song or not. Please don't take any of this stuff to heart. It's just me and my opinion. If you think this song is great, if you love this song, if you have great memories of this song, cherish them, enjoy them, put this record on, and love every second of it. But for me, I'm good. Disney Girls. He took a sweet, endearing song and then I Write the Songs ified it. It's like open mic night or something. The spark and the magic is literally castrated from this one. It's just completely void of the beauty that was the Surf's Up version. And I get it, like, you know, the whole singer-songwriter at the piano kind of thing, kind of showing off his talents and just being able to arrange a song on his own and carry it by himself. I get that. where it works with I Write the Songs, it feels so empty on this version. Um, it just sounds so empty. That's the best word I can use, is empty. Rock and Roll Survivor. A lot of people praise this song. It's more of a country sounding song than anything, but it's pleasant. It doesn't offend anything or strike new ground. It's breezy. But like, I mean, it's not bad. It's kind of fun. It's easily one of the more like up tempo songs on the album for sure. Um, but it just doesn't grab you. You know, it's one of those things where like if someone had farted in the background, it would have sounded like all 10 Led Zeppelin albums going off at the same time. Like, I just can't get behind it, man. Don't Be Scared. I literally don't have anything to say about this one. It follows the same vibe as the rest of the songs, where it's just kind of there and exists. And then Pipeline is so out of place on this album, completely out of place. It sounds nothing like the rest of the album. It literally, for me, gives me a headache. Like, it just sounds like elevator music. It sounds like royalty-free internet music. Yeah, I cannot get into this song either. And again, like I've said before, if you dig this stuff, if you think this is the best album of all time, then you give your album a hug, you tell it it's great. Yeah, great album, man. And you love it. That's great. Again, it's just my opinion. Just my little opinion on my tiny little corner on the internet. I think the major flaw with this record is that it's just a collection of tracks. It's not an album. It's not a cohesive thought. It's not one overreaching goal to accomplish something and blow your mind. I think it's kind of Bruce saying like, hey, I've written a bunch of songs. I'd like to see them all in one place, regardless of order or meaning. But it'd be kind of cool to see them on an album. And I think maybe Columbia Records at the time was like, what the hell? Okay, sure. So, I mean, there's some cool pictures. I mean, you got a cool picture of Bruce with a piece of rope there, and he's a little confused about why he's holding the rope. Then you got the sunflower picture there. He's got the cool tuxedo on there, the top hat, and the Rolls Royce. The inside jacket's actually kind of cool. It's got this it's a picture of him jumping. So there's a picture of Bruce jumping. And then this is the most like badass rock and roll picture I've ever seen of him, actually. He's sitting there drinking a beer with his wife on a pier somewhere. So that's cool. And then you got the classic white label promo from Columbia, which might show up on the screen there. It's a little bright. Yeah. Oh, man. Easily not my favorite Beach Boys related release by far. Here's the gold promo stamp at the top there. I don't know I guess this must have been sent to radio stations, but none of the songs are checked for like suggested cuts. I'm not sure how much radio play this thing did get in its day when it came out, or how much promotion there was, if any. He was on Top of the Pops doing Pipeline, where it kind of like there was like a couple of screens where of him playing bass and one playing piano. It's a really hard album to listen to. I think even if you weren't a fan of the Beach Boys, if you just happen to stumble upon this just to listen to it, just as music existing on its own, it's very, for me, very lacking of a soul. You know, I feel like it's just kind of there to exist, but then I don't know why it does. And again, maybe I sound completely cruel on this thing, because I love Bruce Johnston's music. I think his voice is fantastic. I think he's an incredibly talented dude, and a crucial member of the band for sure, and easily the best historian in that band for sure. Like, he remembers things like that top of his head. He knows what date they played where in 1972. Like, he knows all this stuff. So for a guy as talented as he is, it's fascinating to see that this was the product of him, that he put this out and was cool with it, with his name on it, and it's like the least Bruce Johnston sounding thing possible. So with that, I don't know if I can even give this thing a score, because it would just sound mean at this point if I gave it a score, but for the hell of it, like, some work went involved, some effort went involved. The pictures are nice. I like the pictures. There's some good pictures. Let's give it a 3. Let's give it a 3 out of 10. That way it's not a total 0, okay? Ugh. Again, if you like this album, please tell me. Tell me why you like it and what you find in it that's redeeming. Because change my mind. You know, I don't think I like this album. Change my mind. We're going to leave it at that. So, Bruce, if you happen to watch this video, Bruce Johnston of the Beach Boys, I think you're great. I think you're super talented. I'm just not so sure if I dig this album, man. Sorry. Again, I'm just a nobody. You're a Beach Boy. So, you already won. My name is Giggens. This has been Going Public with Bruce Johnston of the Beach Boys. 3 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.